Hi Violin Community, it's Mike here, back with another video. And today's video I just want to show you the stuff I've been listening to in the last couple of weeks. So it's quite a mixed bag as usual. There's some real classics in here, there's some stuff you might not have heard of, and at the end there's some absolutely brilliant VCLT that I received recently. So without further ado, let's get going. So right, the first album is from a singer-songwriter from Los Angeles, and she's called Phoebe Bridgers, and this is her album, and you can probably see it's called Punisher, and this was her second album, I believe, and it came out in 2020, and she's got a new album coming out sometime later this year in the not too distant future, so I'm really looking forward to that. So as I say, she's a singer-songwriter, and her music, I suppose it's kind of on the border of indie rock and folk, really. You know, indie folk, indie rock, and it's very nice. She's got an absolutely wonderful voice, and you know, I love this album. Saviour Complex is probably my favourite track on here, although the title track, Punisher, is really good as well, and there's a track called Kyoto. In fact, you know, there's not a bad track on here, to be honest. So, you know, that's the first one. That's Phoebe Bridgers and the Punisher, and as I say, she's got a new album out fairly shortly, and no doubt I'll be having a listen. So that's the first one. So the next record, this is an absolute classic. We go right back to 1974 for this, an album that I bought when it came out, and you know, I still listen to it today, so it must be good, mustn't it? And it's this one. It's Supertramp's Crime of the Century, and you know, this is one of my favourite albums. They're sort of on the fringes of prog rock, I suppose. You know, are they are they just a sort of, you know, are they a rock band? Are they a prog band? You know, the tracks tend not to be all that long, and you know, but they do sound, you know, very proggy, and you know, I was very much into prog rock at this time, you know, in the early 70s. So that's why I bought it. But I mean, you'll know the tracks on here anyway. So it starts off with the track School, and then there's a brilliant Bloody Well Right, and you've got Hide in His Shell, Asylum, and then on side 2 you've got Dreamer, which was a big single from this album, Rudy, which I think is an absolutely brilliant track. If Everyone's Listening, and then the title track, Crime of the Century. So yeah, I thought I'd give that a listen again, and I was pleased that I did. So that's the second one, and next off another album, although this one is from the early 80s, from 1981, and another album that everyone will know, of course, and it's Tin Drum, and you know, by Japan, and yeah, you know, David Sylvian's a genius, isn't he? And you know, this I think is Japan's best album. Although again, I don't think they did a bad album. So it's sort of it's a bit electronic, isn't it? It's a bit synth poppy. It's a bit new wavy, you know, and it has that kind of, you know, oriental feel to it, you know, which obviously is deliberate here. So you've got, you know, Ghosts, which was a single, wasn't it? It was a single, but it's certainly the best known track on the album. And you know, the Art of Parties as well. You know, the opening track on here. Still Life in Mobile Homes, the opening track on side 2, again is absolutely brilliant. And then you've got Visions of China, Sons of Pioneers, and Cantonese Boy, and Talking Drum, So those are the tracks, and as I say, it's an album that you all know, isn't it? And it's an absolute classic from 1981. Right. Now this one is an album from 1975. It's a 2016 reissue, and it's a psychedelic prog band from Brazil, Casa Das Maquinas, which I think means House of the Machines or something like that. And the album itself is called La de Maravillas. If I've pronounced that right, which I probably haven't. And yeah, this is a really, really nice album. I saw this at a record fair about 2 years ago, and I didn't know who they were. I quite like the cover, so I thought, yeah, why not? Let's give it a go. And it's a really nice album, really nice sort of, say, Brazilian psychedelic prog album. It's their second album, and they disbanded sort of many years ago, but then again I think in the early 2020s they reformed again. So there you go. So that's Casa Das Maquinas and their album from 1975, which is a good listen. Right, something Japanese now, band from Tokyo. So this is Psych. It's on the proggy side of Psych, and it's Kikagaku Moyo and Forest of Lost Children, which I think is an absolutely brilliant album. And what is that? Second album from them, and it came out in 2014. And you can see the tracks on there. Yeah, it's I like the artwork on this as well. I think that's really nice. And in fact, all their album covers seem to have really quite stunning artwork, I think. So that's always a bonus, isn't it? But again, they're Psyche on the proggy side. They're from Tokyo, and they're brilliant. So that's that. Right, something completely different, and this again. I seem to have chosen a lot of second albums, because this is the second album from Parquet Courts, and as you can see, it's called Light Up Gold, and there it is. And I saw them a few years back in Leeds, and they were really good. They didn't play a particularly long set, but for the sort of hour or so that they were on stage, they were really good value. So Light Up Gold from Parquet Courts, and they're from New York City. They're on the sort of the punky side of indie rock, I suppose, and the singer Andrew Savage has got one of those really distinctive voices. So when he starts singing, there's no mistaking that this is Parquet Courts, and so there you go. So this is the album, and really worth a listen. I think Wide Awake, I think, is probably their most popular, their most successful album so far. But I really like this one. Yeah. Right, now then, what's next? Oh yeah, it's the White Album. There you go, it's the White Album, folks. No, it's not that White Album. Of course, it's not that White Album. That gets shown quite enough. This is Mogwai, and this is called Government Commissions 1996 to 2003, and it came out in 2005. And basically, it's a double album of Mogwai's sessions for the BBC, and it's an absolutely brilliant album. But I love Mogwai. I love this sort of noisy sort of post rock stuff, and very, very good album. And as always, the BBC sessions are always really well recorded, so they're definitely worth getting. Whatever whatever the band, if it's a band you like and it's BBC sessions, then it's probably worth picking up for a sort of, a well-recorded alternate take on some of the stuff you already know. So there you go. So that's Mogwai. Right, now the last three albums. There's a bit of a theme here. Now this is VCLT, and there are two types of VCLT that I particularly like. I mean, quite honestly, I like getting any VCLT. It's always wonderful, isn't it, when people take the time to send you a record. But there's VCLT where the person sending you the stuff knows exactly what you like, and they know what you're looking for, and they find it and they send it to you. And that's what this is. The other type of VCLT is where people send you stuff that they're pretty certain you will like, but you don't really know it yourself, and then you receive this stuff and you think, wow, this is brilliant. Why haven't I discovered this band or this artist all these years? Well, this is stuff I'm familiar with. I've been familiar with for a long time, and it was sent to me by my good friend Romuald. It's 3 albums, and they're all from Quebec in Canada. And the first 2 were the second and third albums from a brilliant French Canadian prog band from the 70s. Now, Romuald sent me their debut album not so long ago, and now he's sent me their second and third albums. And the second album is, quite honestly, a symphonic prog classic. It's one of those records, and because the band was from Quebec, because they were singing in French, they didn't really get the traction that maybe they should have done, the fame that they might have had in Europe, or particularly in the UK. Had they not been French Canadians, but that's the way of the world, isn't it? But nowadays you can catch up with stuff, and it's Harmonium, and this album's an absolute classic. I'll show you the gatefold. There you go. And I've had this on CD for donkey's years, but I've always wanted to own a copy on vinyl. And this is this, by the looks of it, is an original sort of Canadian press, so that makes it even better, doesn't it? And there's it's still got the insert in here, which I'll show you. So there's there it is. Really nice sort of insert there with some lyrics and other information. So it's the prog band sort of Harmonium, and the album is called Sion avait besoin d'un cinquième saison, which I think is something like if we needed a 5th season, or if we had a 5th season, something like that. And I probably got that completely wrong, and I know I pronounced all that really, really badly, so I apologise for that wrong. But this album is absolutely wonderful. I've always loved this album. It's in, it'd be in my top 10 of 70s prog albums. No worries. And I'm really pleased to have this, on a really good sort of vinyl pressing. So there you go. And then he sent me the third album as well. And this is a double album. And this is an album I didn't really know. It's called Leptad. And a heptad is in English, I think, is a piece of work that has, I think, 7 main songs to it. Usually a sort of classical piece. And this album, again, it's symphonic prog, but it's more on the sort of it's more sort of neoclassical, I suppose, than a lot of the stuff. It could easily pass as a classical album. it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I really love this. I've been playing these two albums, quite a lot since I received them recently, and that's fantastic. And if that wasn't enough, he sent me another album as well, and this is a compilation. It's the third in the series of Quebec post-punk and new wave, called No Nummer, and there it is. And Romuald sent me the first two, of the series. Again, some months ago, and I absolutely loved them. And they're so well packaged as well, because each of the albums comes with a fanzine basically, and you've got you got in the fanzine style, this kind of do-it-yourself Xerox sort of style to it, and it's it tells you about all the bands, and it's in French and it's in English, and it's absolutely great. And I discovered that there's a band, this band here. It's a Canadian Heaven 17. They don't sound like the Sheffield Heaven 17, but they're pretty good. So yeah, this is a really nice album. I'm really pleased to have this. And there's the bands on here. The Paradox, I think, are really good. A band called Grand Larceny. That's a good name for a band, isn't it? Disappointed a few people as well. That's another good name. Beat Direction band, Wonder Brass, and it's just I feel that you can see all the tracks there. But yeah, I was really pleased to have this, and again, it will go in my collection next to the first two volumes, and it would get a regular play. So I really like the idea that there are these bands, these post-punk bands in the late 70s, early 80s that I knew absolutely nothing about, because they were in Canada, I was in the UK, and nowadays you can really expand your horizons, can't you? And you can pick up on stuff. I mean, it can be an expensive business, I suppose, but anyway, that's all I've got to show you, and that's what I've been listening to very recently. But I just got to say, thank you once again, Romuald, and I was really happy to receive those records. So until next time, I'll see everybody. So bye.